Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's September 30th. Another month's coming to an end. Hard to believe that September's come and gone now. Now we're heading into October tomorrow. We actually had a two-tiered uptrend here today in the end. This is mostly sideways stuff though. Notice how you move up and you kind of go sideways and you jump up and you go sideways and you jump up, you go sideways, you jump up, you go sideways. I mean, it's even in this uptrend, the majority of your movement is sideways. And you just have to be able to get lucky enough to catch these moves up. And if you don't catch those, then, there's just not much movement. So you're really trading off the highs and lows of the trading ranges is what you're really looking at here. Um, and if you got a trend line working up, then you might catch something off that trend line. Like here's your key entry point, here's a shorter term one, then you got your support and resistance. So that's what you're looking at here. You have to be really careful in this sideways stuff. You're not that interested in second entries. Obviously, if you see a second entry that sets up off the shorts off the highs or longs off the lows, then you want to pay attention to that. But the key is just finding reasons to get long at the lows on a good signal bar or short at the highs off a good signal bar if you're really going sideways and you've got consistent support and resistance. There's still a little bit of a upward bias to this, even going sideways here, um, because this was tighter and it kind of expanded and it made some higher highs here, and you still got a possible trend line over here, which you really, this trend line's a little, takes a little bit of experience to find, um, because it's not real clear cut. Because if you really drew this off the highs, you get a totally different, you really got a shorter term one here, and then like where we're going sideways is what you played. And then once this kind of played out here, then you might be able to find this two-tier channel. You need a little experience to find this one because there's an overshoot here, which generally leads to a break, which came over here, and then you move to a new high, and then you switch gears and you trade downward. Um, so just something to think about there. But really, you're better off just kind of playing these sideways and just remembering that, hey, we've got a little bit of upward bias. So if you get a chance to jump in with the trend, you probably want to do that. And I would definitely measure this first leg up probably to here. I'd measure here and here. This would be your first measurement. And then we kind of started higher from right there. And you can see that's, you basically get a perfect measured move. So that would have been your target right there. And if you use that for a target, that's the upper side of the two-tiered channel. And you basically getting out at the high if you get out right there within a couple of ticks of the high, a few ticks. So just keep that in mind. I'll just move that over here out of the way so it's not in the way. But let's back out and talk about the trades, and I'm going to wrap this one up. I need to get out of here today. And there's not a lot of trades today, unfortunately. So um, 7 o'clock came during this little uptrend right here. There is a little hidden second entry. Notice you move up, pull back, and then move up. So there's two clear legs up. You got a big bearish signal bar here, but it's when it closes right into a double bottom, then you get an inside up bar. So you got like an up down and then another down, but you can see you're making a little lower high there. You may wait till this bar closes. Um, Really what I would want to do is wait on the break below this bar right here, and then maybe drop my a limit order back here where it would have been a second entry when it went lower right there, and see if you could get filled. Your chart may be slightly different. It's maybe questionable if you would have got filled, but that's the only way I would enter that. I wouldn't wait for this bar and enter here, even though it worked. That's really risky. You could let it break below this one and drop a limit order back up here, but you see you never would have got filled on that one. There's no, you couldn't even come close. It never even backed up at all. So, and this does confirm the trend line and all that. It's just such a big bar, and it's just the only way to really enter it would be to let it, this one break lower than these two and drop a limit order back in here, just giving you a little better entry and a little more room to get out because this is a double bottom, so it may break lower and fail and turn right back up. It does fail, but it moves on down. You pretty much get a measured move there. If you measure from here to here, I don't think you quite do, but just to look at it just at a high level, well, it's still pretty close. So you basically get a measured move down and then it reverses. And this is looking very range-like, especially when it bounces and starts going higher here. Uh, so you may take that first trade. I don't see anything down here. You actually get a failed second entry short right here, but that's just too congestive. Too many stems on both sides. I just don't think that's a good entry. And if you used your short-term trend line right here on this little trend, you can see you got a close outside and a couple of legs up. That's all the more reason. If you were going to do anything here, you might look to go short because it's the first break of this channel. So you may take a short. You'd be better off waiting on the lower high. Just catch that second leg down, but you don't have a very good signal bar. You do get a double test here, but you don't have enough room to really get out. You can see all that support across there. So you know, if anything, you're really hoping that you might get a long here if you bounce off here with that upward trend going on. You might get a move up, and you do get a second entry here. That's a double top, so you can count that as a new high. First entry, second entry. But again, second entries are not that important when you're going sideways like this, because you can find second entries going both ways, back and forth, and you just get chopped all to pieces. So you need other reasons to enter. And the main reason I like this one is that you've made a low, you test it once, you test it twice, so you got a double test. If you drew your trend line off this side, you drag it over here, it fits perfectly here. You do have a second entry long. You do still have the upward bias, and you would expect maybe another leg up. And so there's a lot of reasons, plus you're still above the EMA and this actually went lower first and turned and went out the other side. I like just having a buy stop right there and catching that. That's a trap. It trapped people to the short side, and off it goes. And all it was were people were waiting on something to tell them that, hey, we're probably going higher. And notice how this line right here, it was here to start with. So we actually pushed on through there a couple of times and then came back and got that second entry. So they've probably cleared out a lot of the issues going on there. So that gives you a little more encouragement to say, hey, we're making higher highs and higher lows here, because look how we're closing higher. And so that's just something else to look at there. So another clue that we may be going higher, and off it goes. So then we just start kind of going sideways again, and we just talked about now you got a sure enough trend line. We confirmed it right here, that's running up through here. So you got to be careful about taking any shorts. You're really still looking for longs in here, and you don't really get a good long setup. And then by the time you get that, it's pretty obvious we're going sideways here. You do get a close outside the new high, but that bar is not bearish enough, so you can't take that one. And then we push lower, and you would figure this would probably fail here and turn back up. So you might take a long right in here if you got a good setup. You do get another long here, but it's a little iffy here because you don't have a lot of room back here to where your original resistance was, which was right across here. And you can see you just don't have enough room there to really take that trade. So you really can't take that long. It does come back here to where you would expect this bigger two-tier channel to be if you could find this. This was not easy to find, so you're probably just playing this sideways. And even if you play this sideways, you still get a setup here. You made that low, you made another low. You kind of tested it there, but you definitely came back and tested these lows here. You can see that. So you got a double test. The only reason that I didn't make this one blue is because it's not a perfect signal bar. It's a fairly weak signal bar. There is a double bottom, so a first entry, second entry. So you could look, hey, it's a failed second entry short. But more than anything, we're going sideways, and it's a bounce off the lows with plenty of room to get out. But it's just not a very good signal bar. So for that reason, I made it green. It would have worked. And then, of course, now you got two legs up, and you made this high. You came back, you tested once, you tested twice. So you got a second entry short at the highs here. By this time, we're looking like we're really going sideways. And so I kind of like going short there. I probably would have moved this up to here once we made those closes there. We did come back and test it, which would have been the better entry, really. But not a very good signal bar. So if you didn't enter here, you didn't get a chance to take that one. And then this one, I probably would have moved it up to those last closes. And again, you've got a double bottom. You come back, you test it once, twice, 3 times here, and you get a second entry long with a relatively bullish bar. And if you got enough room, take this thing. Notice the high, first entry, second entry. And so I like going long there. And we actually come back here, but you don't want to go long right into that resistance there. You just have to watch this one kind of go. But then notice we start going sideways, and you come back here, you come back again, twice. We actually come back here third time, and you're right off that trend line and a nice bullish bar. And you actually dropped a little lower. So we're probably going, and you got that midline there if you found that by now, which you could probably find that by this point if you know what to look for. Again, this is a little harder channel to find. And I like going long there. And you come back again here. You didn't have a very good signal bar here. I would have marked that one. You get your reversal pattern, type pattern here, and it did push back up above the midline, and it's holding. That may be one you considered. If that was, it's a good signal bar. The only problem is it's really close to the highs, and this is the high of the day, and we just had a failed break. What could be a failed break higher. It looked like we had a range here, as you can see. You had your resistance across here, and you had your support across down here. But you could tell this thing's jumping up and going sideways, and you just keep kind of jumping up. So there was a good chance we may go higher. Plus your measured move is up here that we talked about earlier. And so you still got room, and you haven't really reached these upper sides here either of the trend channel line, which would probably be your expected target. And you can see that's exactly where we went to. We did push one more high, but that was the target. And we did have a close outside here. So, and then I would call that a couple of legs up. There's little swings in there too, but it's really probably 2 measured legs up there. So that's a possibility. And then we just kind of going sideways. You got to be real careful getting short yet. Unless you're really far away from the EMA with a good signal bar, and I don't see that. And actually you get another double test here off the midline and all. Notice that you made that low, you test it once, you test it twice. That's a nice bearish bar or bullish bar that had traded way down here and suddenly closes almost on its high. That's a good place to go long. So anyway, I had a little interruption. I think we just talked about that trade. This one was, you got that little failed break higher. We've already had a break and a couple legs up. The only problem is you're just so close to the EMA. There's too big a chance that it breaks higher. And the bias is up here. So if anything, you're looking for the failed break out the bottom. And I don't think I would want to go short right into those support. And then finally you push down to make a lower low, you get a first entry short, and then you get a second entry short here with a big bearish bar, but it's another up down bar. This did bounce off the trend line. There's actually a second entry long right here. Notice that high, first entry, second entry. But this had been holding as resistance, and you're going long right into all that. With the fact that we've already had the break and a couple of legs up, and if you measure that, I believe they're really close to measured. I'm just eyeballing it. I'd probably measure from here to here, and then from here to here, and you might measure it from here as well, just in case we went higher. And you can see we didn't quite get that one, so this is probably going to be your more accurate one. From here to here, and then from that low point right there, and you can see we got close, but it's not quite a measured move. So but this is a possibility. I just think it's pretty risky with that being kind of there's 2 bars there. This is really your signal bar, so you might let it break above this bar and drop it back here. And if you had of, I know that trade would work. I'm not sure if there's enough ticks there. I haven't counted them to see if it worked if you went long off that one. It looks like it'd be real close. I know it worked off that one. That would be the only way I would enter that trade. I'll put this on there and explain this one more time. You might let it break above this bar since it's bullish, but this is really your first bar and it's got a lower high. So this is technically your signal bar, which is too bearish. So you may let it break above that bar and drop a limit order one tick above this one and see if it comes back. And if it would have, you got enough room to get out there. If you wait till this bar, I'm not sure. Just see how many ticks are in that bar, just so there won't be any question. Yeah, this thing's moving all around on me. That bar is 6 ticks. So it takes, yeah, you could have still, actually no, because it overlaps this one by 1. So that would have been, you would have got it exactly 4 ticks and it failed. So you may or may not have got out of that trade. That's a good example of why you can't be 1 tick late or 1 tick early on these trades, because that's what will happen to you. There's a reason why we try to scalp 4 ticks. So, but anyway, you could treat this like a failure here for sure. And that big, again, it's an up-down bar. If there were just a big bearish bar right there, I'd say with no doubt go short right there, maybe. Since it is a trap, notice the first entry, second entry, and it didn't reach your scalper's profit, and you have had your break and a couple of legs up. So you may go short right there on that. It's a little late in the day. It's almost 2 o'clock, but that would have been a one to consider. This would have been a nice trade here because it does confirm that trend line. It's 2:30 by now, so it's too late. But if you move up, you get a first entry, you go higher, and it comes back down with those matching lows. That's the second entry, and that's a big bearish bar. That's the one you really want to wait on, but it came after 2 o'clock. So anyway, you can see that was a nice trade. So not a lot of trades today. Kind of a mixed trading day. Not a real easy trading day for most people, probably either, because you really have to trade this almost by range rules. If you didn't have your double test and your range rules hit today, there's probably not many trades here. So there's, a couple of failures maybe mixed in with that, or even the trades were that with failures or whatever. So just wasn't a great trading day. There's only a handful of trades. But you only need 1 or 2, and that's the thing. But here's what you got to be able to do is you got to be patient. You can't force trades, especially in these ranges. If you're not getting a good entry off these lows, or going short off the highs right here when you're in something, but it's so predictable. It's usually pretty predictable. If you can get in close to this line, you're going to be able to scalp out. If you can get in close to this line, you're going to be able to scalp out. You can see where it becomes, even if you got in down low, it worked most of the time, or up higher, it worked most of the times, except where the bar is too big to get out before you get back to the lows. So it's fairly predictable, and I like that kind of trading. I mean, a lot of people struggle with these kind of days, but it's usually fairly predictable. So once you get used to it and experienced at it, it'll become easier for you. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.